Hey everybody, back again to discuss some more metal albums and a couple of live shows I saw over the last couple weeks. So we're going to start off with last night, March 12th, 2025. I saw Coroner headlining the Velvet Underground in Toronto. And truth be told, I've never been a big Coroner fan. Every 5 years or so, I go through discography and it always leaves me feeling a little cold. It's just not very emotional music in my book. But I definitely enjoyed their set. Total professionals out there. They do seem to have a new album coming out in October, which is the first thing since the 90s. So I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, it was a good set from a band I'm not really into. The opening band is a local thrash band called Corrosion, with a K. And this is their third and most recent full-length album, Catastrophic Creation, on CDN Records. So, these are local guys, and I've been seeing the name around for a long time, seem to have a decent local following. So, when I walked into the building, I just headed right to the merch table, and they wanted $10 for the CD, so $10 for a CD, it's going to be a done deal every time. So I picked that up and then checked out their set. A pretty cool mixture of American and German thrash. And truth be told, again, I am not a big thrash fan. I've always been guilty of just kind of going to the big name classics, the old Slayer, the old Metallica, the old Creator, the old Exodus, and pretty much being satisfied with that. But I put the CD on the car today, listened to it twice on a long drive, and I was definitely into it. My favorite songs are probably Nuclear Awakening and Under a Vicious Sky, which they did play last night. A very Rain and Blood, Slayer influenced kind of track. The guys seem to be having fun on stage, and I think the crowd was into it too. Corrosive. And actually, this album cover here, my first thought was, wow, look at that Ed Repka inspired artwork. But upon inspection of the credits, it is Ed Repka himself. So what I'm really excited to talk about this video is Deceased. Deceased are one of my favorite metal bands of all time, and they blew me away last night. Before we get to the show, I got a t-shirt, but it's in the wash right now. I also bought this, Behind the Mourner's Veil, which is an EP from 2001. And Deceased have a lot of live material, a lot of covers material. I usually don't buy that kind of stuff. The two original songs on here, It's Alive and The Mausoleum, those are, to my knowledge, the only two original Deceased songs I don't own in a physical format, so I was very happy to finally find an affordable copy of this. Another thing about Deceased, the merch was all much cheaper than all the other bands out there that, come through Toronto. Best song on here is definitely The Mausoleum. They played that live last time they came around Toronto, about 2.5 years ago, opening for Bulldozer. Then you have cover songs by Tankard, DRI, Anthrax, IV, and my favorite cover on here is New Age of Total Warfare by Warfare. This is a 2018, more recent edition. Lost Apparitions Records. So anyways, so Deceased, I was there for them. They were second slot out of 3. And they fucking ruled. Halfway through the opening song, Night of the Deceased, I had a genuine laugh and disbelief at how much they were killing it. Mike Smith just inches from the front of the stage with his Flying V and Onslaught t-shirt. King Fowley just, it's like he has a special moment with each person in that crowd. He just looks them dead in the eyes and does a funny gesture or points at them or something. The set list was very similar to the last time they came to Toronto, but that's okay. Um, both times, again, opening with Night of the Deceased and closing with Fearless Undead Machines. Maybe an obvious pick, but definitely my favorite Deceased song, and the song that first introduced me to the band way back in the 90s. Yeah, when the show was over, the guy standing next to me was just talking like, wow, I can't believe I got to witness that. Just the song selection, just hitting on every note. And he wasn't even talking to me, but I couldn't help but just kind of laugh in agreement. I plan to never miss a Deceased show if I can help it, ever again. And yeah, walking out at the end of the night, King was at the merch table, and he's always one of the rare guys in a band I would love to just go and say hi to, but I get kind of shy, and I just walked out at the end of the night. But Deceased, please check him out if you haven't. Walking out of the venue, a lot of people were saying Deceased stole the show. A lot of people at the merch table. I feel like just for the last couple years, they've really increased their profile a bit. I find the first two albums after they left Relapse Records, I think the albums kind of quickly came and went, at least online and with the metal press. But with Children of the Morgue, I found there's been a lot more coverage, a lot more interviews. The turnout at this show was much better than the last time I saw them. And I think people are really coming around to how great this band is. So, the show I saw prior to that was in mid-February. That was Undergang going to the Garrison in Toronto. And I was really looking forward to them. Undergang are one of my favorite modern death metal bands. Opening the show was Copperlith, who are a local Toronto death metal band. And I think they might be signed to maybe Transcending Obscurity, something like that. I forget. But I kind of choked on buying their vinyl, but I would have liked to. It was a great set of old school death metal. Middle slot on the lineup was Mephitic Corpse. And this is the debut album, Sickness Attracts Sickness. Bought that during the show. This was a collaboration between Head Split Records, the American label, and Extremely Rotten Productions, the same label, owned and operated by Dave from Undergang. And what we have here is some serious death grind here. 11 tracks, my favorite song being, I'd say, Heart and Tinfoil. Young guys for sure, I'm pretty sure they're from California. Really like the drumming, fills all over the place. Everyone's talking about the vocalist and guitarist, just how he really has a pretty unique way of playing his guitar up there. And yeah, they made me a fan that night. I picked up the album, and I've listened to this several times since picking it up. And so headlining that night was Undergang, of course. I have most of their albums, plus it wasn't didn't have the biggest selection of merch that night. But I did pick up one of the more recent splits they've done, and that is with the Japanese band Anatomia. This came out on Dark Descent a couple years ago. So Anatomia, basically they kind of occupy that space between death metal and funeral doom and everything in between. And first track, Total Darkness, definitely more of a funeral doom meets death metal track, a lengthy one at that, before getting into Bound to Death, which is straight up death metal. Following that, you have 3 new tracks from Undergang, and what you know and expect from these Danish maniacs. And actually, I don't have a lot to say about the show, but it was a great set, had a great time, and a bigger crowd than I thought. I'd say there were, I don't know, 200-300 people there, pretty good. And I hope it's not too long before they come back again. I was hoping to pick up the new Friendless album, another band of Dave from Undergang. while in the city, but wasn't able to track it down. Hope to get my hands on that soon. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.